Well, welcome back to the channel, Old Cars, New Van. Well, it's Friday the 21st of March, and whereas the rest of the world of classic cars seems to be at the NEC for the restoration show, Maya and I are in a car park in Chesterfield. I'm not sure what that says about us, but nice Porsche 911. So the consolation is that we've got plenty of classic cars to look at, which is a great thing. I came across this quite by chance. Mini Cooper, obviously, MGB Roadster there. This is an event organised by the Historic Endurance Rally Organisation, or HERO, as the initials go by. And basically, they're gathering here, this is in the evening, for an early start tomorrow morning on the 22nd of March for, as I say, a historic endurance rally. Now, you may not be, or you may be, very familiar with what a historic endurance rally is. I'll give you a few details. I'm no expert by any stretch of the imagination, but basically the concept is that cars gather for a set route. This actually is just a one-day event, which is the shortest they do. They'll be covering probably about 150 miles, but some of the events they organise carry on for days. So basically they gather, lovely Lotus 2+2, by the way. They gather the night before and have scrutineering of the cars for basic safety equipment and timing equipment, etc. And they set off in the morning on a pre-organised route, which for the majority is road. So the rules are, it's not a race, you're not supposed to exceed the speed limit, you're supposed to observe all road rules, obviously, but interspersed with timed special tests at private venues. So off-road, road rules don't apply, and that's the time where, to be fair to the owners of these beautiful and in some cases very expensive classic cars, they really thrash them around. I mean, if you've ever seen one of these videos before of them actually doing the time special tests, you'll know that they're handbrake turning, they're wheel spinning, they're clipping cones out of the way if it gets them an extra second on the clock. They're really pushing these cars, and obviously these are old cars, beautiful Alfa Romeo there. By the way, the Skoda in the background is one of the support vehicles. Yeah, that's it, Hero era. Really exciting to watch. Now, unfortunately, we're not able to follow them round on the course tomorrow on the 22nd. We will be here in the morning to see them off. Obviously, this beautiful GT 1300 Junior Alpha and a magnificent Volvo there in splendid blue. Maya's quite taken with that by the looks of it. But yeah, quite an eclectic mix of cars. And as I say, it does divide the classic car community, this, because as I say, rather than spending all the time polishing them and making sure that the cars are immaculate, these guys really, really do thrash them. Bit of a close-up here. You can see some of the timing equipment, because I think it was Jeremy Clarkson who said once that his wife was quite interested in doing this. I don't know if that was his present wife or a previous wife, but anyway, and he said it's really anal stuff, this. I'm not sure that's a very fair quote, but I can understand where he's coming from, because you've got to time exactly. It's not a case of getting there at the fastest possible pace. You've got to do it in exactly the time that the organisers have said that you should do it in. And it's quite a skill, which is why they've got very advanced timing equipment in the vehicles, and obviously, a map reader. They don't actually use maps. They have almost like a rally notes that the co-driver calls out to the driver, and it's important as well that those are followed exactly, because if you go off course, then effectively you're disqualified and you're out. But also it's quite hard to get back on course even if you tried to do a U-turn. It's lost in Austin Healy there with taking no chances with the weather forecast for the park up for the night ahead. But yeah, so you've got to keep really in line with the timing. Now this is an interesting car. If you saw our video recently on the Hampsons auction, I actually saw one of these for sale. Lancia Beta Monte Carlo. This is a bit more original than the one we saw at the auction, because if you remember, that particular example had some rather modernised wheels on it. But we got chatting to the owner of this car, and he'd bought this already prepared. You can see the rollover bar, the sports seats, all the timing equipment in it. But the previous owner had never used it. He'd had it done up for rallying, but then never used it. And he was telling me, even on the way down in the on the road, he was spotting a few snagging problems because I don't think he's had it very long. So yeah, I hope he does well, and I hope it holds out for him. Lovely Volvo Amazon there. Of course, they're extremely popular in this sort of event. An extremely rugged vehicle, obviously favoured in many international rallies. So yeah, it was a very friendly meet. This, I mean, as I say, we were in a car park in Chesterfield, a hotel car park where they were staying overnight. Possibly one of the newer contenders there, 1986, 85, 86 Golf GTI. I was going to say, you see, you don't have to spend a fortune, but actually they're worth quite a lot of money these days, aren't they? So another beautiful Austin Healy 3000 there. There were some really nice cars here. Our intention is to come back to see them off in the morning, so no doubt we'll see some lovely cars that we haven't seen already. Now, this was interesting. I was chatting to the owner. This MG was actually built for an American rally. It was built on effectively a new shell, and that's why it's left-hand drive. It competed in one American rally. That was it, and then was then repatriated back to the UK. And this chap, who you can see here polishing it diligently, actually bought it relatively recently. I think it was a year or two ago. So competing in a UK rally. But yeah, it caught the eye, certainly being a left-hand drive example, because although they did sell them in America, they weren't to a penny over there. This was quite a spot. Later on, I think I misnamed this as a 2002. It was actually a 1602, but quite a striking paint job, as you can see on this BMW. And of course, escorts aplenty, as is always the way in these sort of events. RS 2000, very nice, 1978. Quite a purposeful looking MG here. MG was the most common mark of the day, I have to say. So what's that, C reg? So probably about 1966. And just as I was filming that, Peugeot 205 GTI and Datsun 260Z pull in. So it's quite an eclectic mix, isn't it, of cars competing in this. The Datsun parking up. As I say, this is the Casa Hotel in Chesterfield, and it was scrutineering, so you had to get all your paperwork in order. I'm not sure whether all the rollover cages are compulsory, but a lot of cars seem to have them. You can also see the very grippy tyres fitted to this 260Z here, and that's for the sort of off-road specialist tests at the private venues that I was talking about earlier, because often they can be on loose gravel. They could be on washboard, they could be on dirt. So actually a bit of extra traction with some decent rubber under you. Although this Golf GTI is going for it, it appears, with road-going tyres. Difficult to know in this particular organisation of this particular event how off-road it was going to be. And then, wow, the star of the show, this SS Swallow sidecars, obviously Jaguar, early Jaguar pulled in. This was an absolute beauty, and indeed this was going to be the very first car to depart in the morning. Obviously pride of place, and quite rightly so, because it was a magnificent thing. I mean, unfortunately the weather forecast wasn't amazing for the actual day, Saturday the 22nd of March, and I did feel for these guys, because clearly this is an extremely expensive vehicle, and it's likely to get totally sodden inside. But you know, these guys, they use them, they abuse them, and they fix them. And in some ways I can really respect that. I mean, you know, these will appreciate being used. They're not museum pieces. Cars like to be driven. They like to be driven hard occasionally, and that's exactly what these guys do. Now, this is a really good opportunity to see some of the advanced timing equipment I was talking about. You can see there, both for the driver and, more importantly, the co-driver, have got really advanced electronics to keep the timing literally second perfect. As I say, no margin for error at all. At least he's got a spare wheel. That eventuality is covered if the worst were to happen. So yeah, setting off on Saturday the 22nd, preparing the cars by sticking on their competition numbers, their plates. As I say, there's strict rules of no racing, no speeding on the highway. Now this, I'm not sure if this is original or if this is a recreation or a tribute, but this is very famous looking 1969 Maxi, originally driven by Jean Allen, who competed in the London to Mexico rally, about 16,000 miles. I think she placed about 16th, 18th in the end. Can't quite remember, but there or thereabouts. She did extremely well. Obviously, Jean, I believe, passed away, you know, early 2000s. But whether this is the original car or whether this is a recreation, I'm not entirely sure, to be fair. But it was a magnificent beast, whatever it was. And then we got a lovely lineup here of Volvo Amazon, Alfa Romeo. I think that's the original Giulia, is it? Or Giulietta? I'm not too sure, actually. God. No, Giulia. That's right. I am sure. It's a Giulia. Yeah, beautiful Alphas, and then this really cute little Hillman Imp on the end. Long-standing watchers of the channel will know that I've got a very soft spot for a Hillman Imp. So I took time to photograph and video both the front and the backs of these lineups. Yeah, I mean, it was just so surreal seeing these cars parked in a modern hotel next to modern cars, and just the colours and the smells and the look of them and the design of them was just extraordinary. And even a 91 on the H Nova. Not sure if that was part of the show or not. Well, there you go. I hope you enjoyed a few sights and sounds there of some cars pulling in. This amazing Riley, absolutely stunning. I think this was number 2 on the grid for departure in the morning, and again another opportunity to see some of the advanced timing gear that these guys use. But yeah, I thought I'd voice over this because I didn't want to be talking to myself in a car park with the general public around. It looked a bit peculiar. But tomorrow we are going to be returning for the start, and we will be recording live there to get the sights and sounds of the cars heading off. So please join us for that video. This isn't a Hillman Imp. This is badge engineering at its best, courtesy of the Roots Group. This is actually the Sunbeam version, but a very, very bonny looking example. I'm not sure if that colour scheme is original or not, but it really suited the car. It was almost like an opaline green with these little red flashes. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Thought that was really really special and worthy of note. Now, this is a 2002. The Orange Tango, bonny looking thing. Maya really likes these. Yeah, I could see this being on the list one day. They're expensive, but definitely worth it. I think if you get a good one, it wouldn't be a bad example. So yeah, people just pulling in and arriving, obviously spending the night at the hotel and then setting off in the morning. There were a few issues. This TR6 was having real trouble running issues. So obviously, good group of people sort of pushing in and helping out and getting it ready for the morning. So please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Do join us in a week's time for the part 2 of this video series, where we'll be looking at the start of the rally with sights and sounds on the day. So I hope you enjoyed a slightly different video from us. And as I say, look forward to seeing you next week. Cheers now. Bye.